In this video, we look at how to design and build an ultralight frame for an off-road trailer. The goal of the build was ultralight. I wanted to bring the trailer in around 750 pounds, so it would be one of the lightest on the market. To do that, I needed a lightweight trailer frame built from scratch that I could use that would be strong enough for off-road use. The minimum size tubing I could use for this was 2x2 square tubing because it's stronger than C-channel without much of a weight penalty. Going to 2x3 is a big weight penalty, and that could be done for an ultra heavy duty frame. But 2x2 is sufficient in terms of its strength and also its rigidity for most off-road use in a lightweight trailer. I started drawing out designs for the trailer frame, and as you can see in these pictures, I was overthinking it at the beginning. Those of you with metalworking backgrounds can see exactly what the mistake was that I was making. Ultimately, I settled on this design, which would account for easy fabrication and minimum cuts, minimum welds, and still give us the frame that we wanted. Once I had a design concept in mind, I started drawing out the entire frame and playing with the measurements until I had what I wanted. The question of how to mount the body to the frame ultimately was handled by using a piece of the 2x2 tubing, cut off at a 45-degree angle approximately, to make some body mounts that could be welded onto the trailer and drilled through for bolts. So armed with all that, we've laid out the tubing, cut it, measured 5 times before we cut, and we started assembling the frame. My welding looks like a child did it, so I had some friends that could weld help me out to do this part, and it came out really nice. You have to be very careful to get everything extremely flat. 90 degrees angles are perfect 90-degree angles, and then weld it together. You can see in the picture that this is not a traditional ladder frame, it's more of a kite shape, and the idea was to keep the crossbars and the weight to a minimum. So in a traditional ladder frame with lots of boxes and cross members, it gets heavy quickly. And I decided that being as triangles were the most geometrically rigid shape, that I would try to maximize the use of triangles throughout the build. And as you can see on the drawing again, that was accomplished. And when the body mounts were placed in a triangular configuration also, it made several virtual triangles using the frame members as bases. So ultimately the frame came out extremely rigid and yet as light as we wanted it to be. After fabricating the frame, we bolted up the axle and the running gear and put it together, and it was about ready to pull home. Some additional features we put on it were an interchangeable hitch at the front, so that the coupler could be coordinated with whatever hitch was on the trailer. And that was done by welding a hitch adapter to the front of the tongue tube. And by doing so, we could use the cross pin to switch out couplers on the trailer as well as the hitches on the truck's receiver hitch. On the back, we have a receiver hitch as well, so we can insert a step or a bicycle rack or a load platform, something like that. Originally, I was going to use slipper springs on the trailer because I was told by some trailer parts people that those were stronger. But it turned out they were noisy, and they weren't actually strong, and they were prone to slipping the mounts in off-road use and op testing. So ultimately, we replaced those with traditional shackle type springs, similar to what you had on old Jeeps. They work a lot better and they're a lot quieter. Makes for a more quality product. I'm not convinced that they're less strong than the slipper springs. The trailer chassis wiring was done with 2 junction boxes. There's one at the front and there's one at the back. So the pigtail that hooks to the truck hooks to the front junction box as well. And connections for the body lights at the front come off of that junction box. Then a wiring harness runs from the front junction box to the rear one and terminates there again. All the connections for the interior power supplies and the rear trailer lights run off that junction box. I tried to stay with the RV standard color code of wiring, although a couple of places I had run out of certain colors of wire and had to patch in. But it's very obvious from looking at the patch bays which is which. I used this wiring diagram for the entire electrical system of the trailer. With some modifications, this was ultimately how I patched in the solar panel wiring and the interior wiring, where it could be run off of solar panel, off of shore power with a converter, or off the 12-volt wire from the truck's 7-pin connector. So that's a look at the design process and the frame that we put under the trailer. It's a little more clear than in the walk-around video. If you have questions or comments, you can put them down below in the comments section. I'll be glad to answer them for you. And please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll have more detail on the build coming, as well as other fun overlanding videos and other topics. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again outside.